Now there's another feature. We'll go back to the PTZ tab. There is another feature where there's another feature in the settings that allows you to create presets for the PTZ camera. You can set up presets for easy access on the main screen. For instance, you could focus your PTZ camera on your backyard and create one preset, and then focus the camera on your front yard and create a preset. And once you've created these presets, they're accessible on the main screen when you right-click on the screen for that particular PTZ camera. And if you have multiple PTZ cameras, you can even set up different presets for different PTZ cameras. In addition, you can also have the PTZ cameras cruise between the different presets you created. It'll cruise between the different presets until you stop the process. You can even program the amount of time you'd like the PTZ camera to stay at each preset. And we'll briefly go over how to set up that feature. The first thing you're going to need to do is focus the camera on the location you'd like to create a preset for. And you can do that here by pressing these buttons here. These are identical to the buttons that you see here on the main screen for the PTZ camera. So you can go back to the PTZ tab and go ahead and adjust it here using these buttons and focus it on the location you want to create the preset for. Next, you have to give the preset a unique ID number. And just for the sake of simplicity, we're going to make this preset ID 1. It's really important that you set this ID number before you apply a preset name to this preset. You have to do this in a really specific order. So give it a preset ID number here, and then give the preset a name, and we'll call this backyard. And then you click add, and you'll see that that preset will be added to the list here at the bottom. And you repeat this process for each preset that you want to create. You know, you could go back and click zoom and focus, have the camera focus on a different location. Go over here, create a new preset ID. We'll call this one 2. And for the preset name, we'll call this front yard. And then we'll click add. And now we have another preset. Here, where it says cruise interval in seconds, this is where you decide how long you want. If you decide to take advantage of the cruise feature, this determines how long the PTZ camera stays on each particular preset. So if you take advantage of the cruise feature, which I'll explain a little bit more about in just a moment, it would go to the backyard, stay there for 5 seconds, then the camera would move to the front yard preset and stay there for 5 seconds, and then it would go back to the backyard for 5 seconds and keep doing that in a loop. We'll go ahead and create one more preset. So we'll click zoom, focus, adjust the iris, create another preset ID, and we'll call this playground. Click add, and now we have 3 presets. And once you've created the desired number of presets, go ahead and click apply, and it'll take a moment for the settings to apply to the camera. And then click OK. And what's going to happen is the screen where your PTZ camera's video is being streamed to, if you click on that screen and highlight it, and then you right click you'll see that all of the presets you created show up in a small menu that pops up. So we could choose backyard, and then the camera will move to that preset position that we created. We could right click again and choose playground, and then the PTZ camera will move to that particular preset. Or you can choose cruise, and if we choose cruise, it's going to cruise between all of the presets that we created. And since we entered for the interval, we have a value of 5, it's going to stay on each one of the presets for 5 seconds and then move on to the next preset. Since we created 3 in order, it was backyard, front yard, and then playground. It's going to stay on the backyard preset for 5 seconds. Then it's going to move to the front yard preset for 5 seconds. Then it's going to move to the playground for 5 seconds. And then it's going to go back to the backyard for 5 seconds. And it's going to do that in an infinite loop unless we stop the process. And that's pretty much it. That explains how to set up your PTZ camera in the DVR software. If you have more than one PTZ camera, you're going to have to make sure, and this is something that you would do individually on the cameras themselves. Most PTZ cameras have a set of dip switches so that you can assign a unique ID number to each camera. The camera that we have connected right now has an ID of 1 since we only have one camera connected. But if you have, let's say, maybe 2 cameras, you just got to make sure that the second camera has an ID of 2. Each PTZ camera that's connected has to have a unique ID number. That's how the DVR software knows how to apply certain settings to each camera. So if you had a second PTZ camera connected, you can maybe click on the square where the footage is being streamed from that camera. And then when you make the adjustments here for the PTZ camera, they will only be applied to that second camera, and the first PTZ camera will remain where you left it before you moved on to make changes to the second PTZ camera. And that's about it. That concludes the tutorial on the PTZ settings in the DVR software.